inspired you to start Cat Haven back in '93, and how has your vision evolved?
Well, it started in 7th grade when a guy brought a mountain lion to my class, and I always wanted to have one as a pet. And California requires you have at least 2 years full-time experience, and you have to have a reason to have one. So pet's not a reason. You have to have whatever. You're going to be an educational facility, you're going to be open to the public, you're going to do off-sites, you're going to do things that way. So you have to have a reason, you have to have your experience, and when you do that, you apply for permits. And so in '92, I actually bought the property, and then we went through about a year and a half, almost 2-year conditional use permit process, because we had to be the county has to say it's okay because we were changing use on the property here. And then about 5 years of raising money, and then started building in '97, opened in '98. Yeah, I mean, it's been 27 years now. It's been a roller coaster ride with what's going on, but you know, I'm happy we did it. I like the area up here. I like where we're at, and you know, we're busy. We get a lot of park traffic and then a lot of local traffic both, so it's been a good thing.
Cat Haven isn't a sanctuary in the traditional sense. How would you describe its role in wildlife conservation?
We call ourselves a wild animal park for cats, is what we call ourselves. And we're different than most zoos in the sense that we work on conservation of species in the wild. So most zoos are in the business of just having a zoo, and which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just sit there and say I want to do more. I was an airline pilot for many years, so I could jump on an airplane and go places. And I started meeting researchers in the field and saying, what can I do to help you? And so we started funding projects in different parts of the world that were helping to save cats in the wild. Cat Haven is base camp of operations for doing more things, saving cats in the wild.
What do you think makes Cat Haven unique compared to other wildlife facilities in California?
What makes us unique is two things. One is that we do a lot of conservation work in the wild, and two is that we have a variety of cats that you won't see at any other place, just the cats on display. So lion, tiger, leopard, jaguar, cheetah, snow leopard, cloud leopard, and mouse. I think we're one of the few that have all those cats. And it's easier when you focus in on one animal type.
Right.
You know, because people go, well, the zoo's this, and I said, no, the zoo's fine. I don't have a problem with the zoo. It's just not cats only. And if you like cats, this is the place to go.
One of the cats that holds a special place in your heart.
I have a hard time picking things out, but Pele, our lion that's been with us 20 plus years, is 24 next month, and she is just a sweet cat, likes everybody, and she'll sit on your lap and just likes to be with people. And so a cat like that's pretty special just because they don't always act that way.
So what does a typical day at Cat Haven look like for you and for the animals?
Cats all get fed in the morning before we open. My duties mostly run the operation from logistics, making sure everything is ready to go and people are here and things are happening that way. I'll go out and do projects every once in a while for building. I'm the one that chooses where all the enclosures go, how it gets put together, and what happens. Point or somebody needs me to come look at a cat. Keeper notices something, cat's not behaving normally, I'll go out and take a look and make an assessment on what's going on. We have a veterinarian, not on full-time staff. Information videos, talk to her, see what she wants to do, and then we decide what we're doing with the animal at that point. A lot of times it's just treated up here. We do something to treat the animal. But a lot of stuff you can, prep for. A lot of stuff is stuff you can't.
What a good boy. What a good boy. Oh, he likes the pet. Oh, is you a good boy?
You want to come over here? Am I in a bad spot? Come over here.
So how do you ensure the cat's mental and physical well-being while in human care?
We do enrichment regularly with the cats. Our staff's out there doing training with them or doing things that way. Cat look healthy. If the cat looks healthy, then obviously we're doing things right. There's a lot of animal activism out there that the people think an animal shouldn't be in enclosure at all, and they should be able to run free, do what they do. Been to Africa probably 30 times or more, and been to South America at least 15 times, and been out in the wild and seen things. And it's a hard life in the wild. Animals live half as long as what they do in captivity. So a cat like Pele is 24. She would have probably, if she had reached 10, that's like a big milestone in the wild. It's not that I don't like the wild. I love the wild, and I like to be out in the wild seeing cats act natural out in the wild. But that doesn't mean that captivity is bad.
What do you hope visitors take away from their experience here?
I have misconceptions. What's the biggest problem with saving cats in the wild? And the people go, oh, they get poached. Not usually the worst problem. The worst problem is conflict management. Cats come in conflict with people. And when they come in conflict with people, people will eliminate the problem. What I want people to do is come away from here with a love of cats, and then hopefully a willingness to try to help save cats in the wild in some way.
Any changes in people's awareness or attitudes toward wildlife over the years?
Cycles that kind of go up and down. I remember somebody saying, at the current rate of loss of cheetahs, we're going to have cheetahs will all be gone in 10 years. And I sit there and say, you can't say things like that, because nothing operates on a linear line when you're talking perception of animals. Everything goes up and down. So it gets to a certain point, people go, enough, stop this stuff, and they do something and fix things. Or they try to figure out some way to fix it. So people are always, I think, cognizant of the fact that they want to try to do something. It's just not always the best thing. That's a good thing that they're thinking about it and they're moving in a direction. And then if we can help channel that direction, then we can actually make progress with things. For the most part, if you just figure out a way to protect the area where they're at, the cats will rebound back themselves. They'll have enough cubs and it'll grow and it'll do itself.
With AB 892 being considered, how might this legislation impact on the way Cat Haven interacts with the public?
About every 2 years, a bill comes around like this. And again, the bottom line of the thing is they're trying to shut places like us down. So how do you do that? You start limiting what we can do to get people in and have experiences and do things. As I told you to begin with, when I was in 7th grade, a guy brought a mountain lion to my class. Because of that, we've impacted hundreds of thousands of people over the year. Well, now you can't do that. Every time they keep limiting something else. So is this going to hurt us to the point where we can't stay open? No, it's not going to, but it limits another part of what we do. And the problem with this bill was they said you can't have any contact. The other thing that was part of the bill is, or the possibility of contact. What's the possibility? If the cat is 30 feet away, a kid could go running at the cat. That's a possibility. So does that mean I can't have the cat 30 feet away or 40 feet away? They don't have any parameters on it. So when they start writing bills like this, all they're trying to do, again, bottom line is limit and shut places like us down, and then they try to figure out what they can do to make that happen and make it more inconvenient for us to be able to do our mission. Like we have one of our experiences, people can take a walk with the serval up the hill. Okay, well, we couldn't do that anymore. That's what they want to stop. That's what they want to do. We don't have sessions where people just come in and pet cats. Things are moving away from that part of things. Cub petting things, that's why the Big Cat Public Safety Act was passed in 2022. You could do it properly. My friend Doc Antle with Tiger King, he does a thing where he used to have the cubs come out and he had a big clock running up on the wall, and he only had them out 10 minutes was their time frame. So everybody knew the cats came out for 10 minutes and then it was over, so that the cats weren't stressed. So you can do things like that and do it correctly. There's people out there just don't want to see that happen, and they don't like people that do it. So then it becomes very militant in their operation to try to eliminate these kind of things.
What would you want lawmakers or public to understand about responsible wild animal care and education?
This is my big thing that's easy to do. You have to ask questions of facilities. Where do they get their animals from? Are they caring for the animals correctly? If they send their animals out, what are the conditions of sending their animals out to their facilities? I know where every cub of mine has been born here. I know where everyone is. I know all about what's going on. If I don't send a cat to a facility unless I go and check it out first, or I have a friend that I trust that knows what I'm about, checks out the facility and says, no, they're good. So I think what's important is that people ask the questions and drill down on the questions more than just, oh yeah, we rescue all these animals. Okay, well, how did you rescue them? If you go to Chaffee Zoo, you might not be able to ask a question where the animals came from, because you're not going to be able to get answers. Not that they're hiding. That's not the point I'm trying to make. It's just a bigger facility, harder to get to somebody that might know what's going on at that point. But you can look around and look at the facility and see what's going on and how they treat their animals, and look at the animals healthy.
What's next for Cat Haven? Any upcoming events, expansions, conservation projects that we should know about?
I mean, there's always stuff going on. We have our Twilight Tour coming up the 26th. Nothing else per se at this point. We're working on trying to do the area behind us up here so we could accommodate more corporate events and things that way, that people could actually rent the facility out and have a big enough area they can set tables and have 100 people or 150 people come up and do something. And so we're always trying to carve out places. We got our Tiger deck, and we got a new deck over here. If we do this one, we'll have a larger amount.
Area.
Yeah, that we could do things that way. And then working on doing something down below where we'll hopefully have a place where we can show people how we train.
How can readers and advertisers of the classified news get involved and support your work, even if they can't come visit in person?
Well, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, so people can always make donations to us. There's always a way to do it. We're always looking for volunteers. I think we need to develop more volunteers up on the hill here, too. Volunteer means you can come up and learn to be a docent, which means you got to do 4 days a month if you want to do that. Or we even look for day volunteers that want to come up and do a project. We'd have plants that need to be planted. We have den boxes need to be repaired. Even painting. So if people want to volunteer, come up and build a den box or do something. I mean, there's always stuff for people to do that it'd be nice if we had more local people involved with what we're doing.
Anything that the community that we reach can do to help as far as this bill goes? I mean, is there somebody they can write their feelings against it or for it, or?
Right now, no, because we went up last Monday and they tabled the bill. So right now, it'll be tabled until January 26th. That's when we'll know if they're going to bring the bill back or if they're going to do something different. Politics in Sacramento is a different animal than normal. And so these guys want to bring this bill forward. It has to go to the committee. Our lobbyist knew the chair of the committee, started working the chair, saying, how can you exempt this organization and not American Humane or ZAA? How is it that they're targeting these animals and not these ones? So they start putting the questions in their heads. So then the chair's like looking at this going, well, yeah, that's weird. Why are they doing that? The idea is to try to get them to understand what they're trying to accomplish. They pulled the bill on Monday before the hearing on Tuesday because they didn't want to go into committee and get damaged. Yeah. And then if they get damaged, then coming out of committee, then it makes it harder. The next committee is harder. So what they want to do is they want to pull the bill before they get any damage done to them, and then they can revamp things and change things around. Teamsters was coming out against them because the animal trainers in Southern Cal are all Teamsters, and so they don't want to have Teamsters as a formal organization to go against. So now they want to try to see if they can come to agreement with Teamsters on what Teamsters would say is okay for them. And so they start trying to pick off the individual opposition.
The problems, yeah.
Yeah, and then if they can pick off enough of them, then they can reintroduce the bill, and then it's like, oh, we don't care about these guys. So until next year, or if somebody brings up another bill this year, in California, you can't function to fight a bill unless you hire a lobbyist. And what happens too is they'll sit there and talk, and the guy will go, hey, I know you're trying to get your bill through. I'll vote for yours if you vote for me. And then the guy goes, yeah, I don't really care about your bill that much, but I care about my bill. So yeah, if we do that, we'll get it through. Yeah. But that's why you hire a lobbyist, because the lobbyist will go in and he knows everybody. He knows what's going on. He knows how this person's thinking. And and talks to this person, what are you feeling? The guy's like, yeah, I'm thinking I might vote for it. Then he knows. It's kind of sad that you have to put so much money up to do this, but and the people on the other side have unlimited funds, so they don't care about how much money they spend.
Okay, I just want to ask a few fun questions for you. So we've been picking your brain here. So do the cats have personalities like pets do? Are there pranksters or divas that you have back there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think people don't understand too, there's degrees of smart with cats too. You have some real dumb cats, and you have some really smart cats, and then you have some in between. And people go, well, that's me. And it's like, no, it's reality. It's, if I'm training a cat that's not smart, it's hard to train them because they just don't get it. And then other cats are super smart. It takes me, 10 minutes, and we got them doing a behavior that, and our behavior, our training stuff is just normal behavior. I don't have them jumping through hoops and, that kind of stuff. That's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is natural behavior. So if we have people looking at what's going on, here's how a serval hunts. And we have a clear tube, and the serval will stick his arm all the way down into the tube. Well, that's what they do in the wild. They stick their arm down a hole and try to grab a rodent and pull it up. So we train behaviors like that, but it's hard sometimes. The cat's not smart, can't figure out how to put his arm in the tube. Then you're sitting there going, okay, buddy. Gamut of cats that, from smart to dumb, and then diva, they all have their own personalities.
If you could bring back any extinct big cat species, bring them back to life and have it here, which would it be and why?
A saber-tooth thing. That's always the given, the saber-tooth. But we had the American lion too, which was a big cat too, that when it was like an African lion, just bigger than that. So there's a lot of cool cats that were out there, but saber-tooth's always the one that
recognizable. Everybody would know what it was.
Right.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, sure, my pleasure.
I learned a lot today.
Good.